r/ask Reddit. What is something super important that is on the verge of happening? Last week, a Pakistani-based terrorist blew up a bus, killing 41 Indian soldiers in the disputed territory of Kashmir. India blamed Pakistan for the attack and swore revenge. Pakistan had replied saying that India takes revenge, they will retaliate. Yesterday, a group of Indian fighter jets crossed into Pakistani airspace, conducted an airstrike on the terrorist camp in Pakistani territory. If true, this could start an Indian-Pakistani war, where both countries are nuclear powers. Update: looks like the verge of happening actually happened. Pakistan shot down 2 Indian fighter jets and captured one of the pilots. India has also apparently shot down a Pakistani fighter jet. Pakistan just shot down 2 Indian fighter jets. Also significant to note, these two countries have already fought a war while both having nuclear weapons. I believe it's the only war ever fought with both sides having nuclear arms. Another India-Pakistan war. Yes, but a nuclear war is highly unlikely, with Indians' no first use policy and Pakistan not risking it by being the first ones to use nuclear weapons. The first human corneas have been 3D printed by scientists. They cannot be used for human eyes yet, but in the future, the technique could be used to ensure an unlimited supply of corneas required for cornea transplants. Can finally finish my cornea dragon. Privacy is disappearing, and there's little to no way to save it. Cameras, sensors, etc. are everywhere, and software is mining the data for information on us. The software is ever improving and the sensor coverage is ever increasing. Just heard a bit on NPR today about how FB collects info on you by buying it from other apps. Essentially, you don't need an account for FB to know your personal details. I used to work for a digital marketing company. We would buy data and use AI to categorize our customers. Like, for example, we knew what you bought on Amazon. We know that every day at 2:45 you're at your son's elementary school picking him up. We know that you are searching for flights to Orlando to go to Disney World etc. We then would use that info to send you targeted ads. The only thing we didn't know was your name. Children dressing up for their homecoming dance, and the theme is 2000s. Honestly, I can't even really think of a cohesive theme for the Zeros. It was just kind of a shitshow mishmash of pop stars, political incidents, and the creations of the iPod. Apple bottom jeans and the boots with the fur. Not a global thing, but I haven't walked in over half a year due to injury, and I get to start trying to walk tomorrow. So that's super important for me. Update: it went great. It was kinda painful, but I was able to hobble around like a champ. In my opinion, the doc says keep the amount that I try walking per day to a minimum, but that I should be back up and about in no time. Thanks for the silvers and golds, everyone. I've never gotten those before. That's amazing news. I'm so excited for you. This is a depressing thread. Yeah, I was hoping to see some good news, but it's really all just the entire world is ending and you better deal with it, lol. As Wi-Fi covers more and more of the country, phone companies will lose their ability to charge exorbitant prices because telephony will be available everywhere. The Jick-Jack will be all you need, all calls and texts running through the internet. I couldn't find my phone, so I asked Alexa to call it. She didn't know what I was talking about. I recited the numbers to her and she called my phone, which I found. I then asked her to add my number to her contacts, so when I say call my phone she'll call it. She didn't understand. I told her she wasn't very smart. She's pissed off at me. Alexa and I have maintained a civil relationship so far. We stick to her quirky trivia every day when I say Alexa, good morning, weather reports, and playing songs. Neither has resorted to name calling yet. I feel like something big is going to happen regarding antibiotic resistance. We'll start to really see the effects of the problem within the next few years. Was about to happen but now has. Number 3 in the Catholic Church worldwide is spending his first night behind bars for child sex offenses. To add to the story, he was convicted last year, but a suppression order was placed on Australian media lest the jury be prejudged in another trial to occur later. The second trial was cancelled, and the suppression ended. I'm quitting my job as a sailor to become a stand-up comedian. Wish me luck. Good luck. I believe in you, Popeye. George Pell going to jail. in jail right now as we speak. His bail was revoked. Happy cake pale in a cell day. We're in the midst of a fourth industrial revolution, automation. This revolution will basically see the near complete removal of human muscle from most of the economy. Trades, professions, services, and knowledge work should be okay, but manufacturing jobs will be hit hard. We're going to have to figure out what to do with a significant portion of the population that can no longer find productive work. Health and human services, IT services, food and craft artisans. Maybe if we are lucky, people will start to do more creative work. Unfortunately, education has been the unwanted stepchild of investments in the US for so long that we are not prepared for mass automation. Small manufacturing companies that do not produce things of artistic value will be replaced by large companies that can afford to implement automation. Didn't this mostly already happen to the agricultural economy in the US? What did we do when that happened? We evolved. Somehow, someway, painfully. A financial bubble on student loans that'll lead to a recession and a complete restructuring of the way student loans are given out. Minimum payments till you die. There are some startups that are trying to have you pay off your debt by doing manual labor if you don't have the cash. Sounds good until you remember indentured servitude is a thing. The star Betelgeuse is likely to go supernova during this century. To understand how important this is, it will be the first Milky Way supernova since 1861, and by far the brightest supernova in recorded human history. Betelgeuse is very colossal, a supergiant, car 1000x the sun, and already one of the brightest stars in the night sky. When it explodes, it's likely going to be brighter than the full moon for many months, visible even during daytime. Between 1993 and 2009 it got 16% smaller, collapsing at a rate of 213 ms, and the rate is increasing. Can I just say this is the coolest comment I've seen on here so far. Thank you for telling me about this. Most astronomers predict that Betelgeuse has 10 million years left before it finally goes full supernova, but it definitely is in the last stage of its life. A Pakistan-India war that could result in the use of modern nuclear warheads. Tensions have been building consistently between these two countries, and straight up nuclear war is a distinct possibility. Edit. To clarify what this means, what's likely is an escalation in conflict, legitimate all-out war, but not likely nuclear attacks. Neither country benefits from the get-go by doing that, and it's even more likely that their own destruction would be guaranteed. However, it's still a possibility, especially if one side appears to be catastrophically losing. India lost 41 troops in a single terrorist attack recently, and Pakistan still appears to be funding these groups. 2 warplanes were shot down, and overall the situation appears to be escalating far above the regular skirmishes on the hotly contested border. That being said, you shouldn't be incredibly afraid of nuclear war. Nukes are quite simply a last resort, and basically a suicide pill for any country that uses them. All in all, don't expect them. But don't expect sunshine and rainbows over there either. This is likely to be kept isolated to the region and nothing more. Well, 2 warplanes got shot down. I'm currently in Bangladesh hoping to back to England with no fuss on Sunday. Oh duck, my family and I are from there. Godspeed. Within a decade or so there will be an explosion in the number of people in their 50s and 60s that require a place in a residential nursing care home. If you look at the age of the population in care homes at present, they are mostly very elderly people that in their youth and middle age had active jobs or lived active lives without even really trying. They walked to the store, walked to work or cycled, and the housewives were active in their day-to-day activities, not to mention the amount of people in manual labor. They also ate fairly healthy diets and in the main were not obese. Today many people sit at a desk all day and eat rubbish. The vast majority do not keep themselves active or do any kind of resistance and cardio workouts to balance that. Obesity rates are such that we have people in their mid-40s that find it difficult to mobilize themselves and have pain when walking or getting out of a chair. I was speaking to an orthopedic surgeon a while ago about this issue, connected to my work, and his view was that a lot of people are focusing on diabetes as the ticking time bomb health-wise, when in reality the amount of health and mobility issues caused by obesity will hit just as hard. So within a decade or two we will see the youngest population ever requiring nursing care due to immobility. Most of the people in our nursing home are in their 50s and 60s and poor diet, drugs and especially alcohol put them there. Keep drinking lads. We'll see you soon. Pureed chicken and peas at noon. 34 is our youngest so far unless you count congenital issues. Had a spina bifida in their 20s. We're running short of cute old ladies with Alzheimer's. All we have are drunken uncles. Obesity and diabetes are basically the left fist and right one. If you really wanna quibble about which was worse after you got beat up, I suppose you could. I feel like the duckening of my life. A young adult in their 20s. Fortunately when you get to your 30s, you will have half of it figured out and the other half you will stop giving a shit about. I'm 60 and still feel the need to get another 5-speed with a neck snapping engine just so, because, gotta floor it once in a while. I replied to the wrong post. Old people problems. It's okay, it still fits. SpaceX is launching the first test flight of their new manned capsule this weekend. When they launch, it will be the first human-rated flight to launch on US soil since the end of the space shuttle. Climate change is no longer in the future, it is now. The hottest years recorded all but one happened since 2000. What's on the verge of happening is people realizing the scale of the problem. You're telling me we had ducking wildfires in Scotland yesterday? Scotland in February. Last season of Game of Thrones. Being clean of opiates. 1 month is coming up in 2 days. The first time I have been clean for more than a few days in 7 years. I realize this may not be important to anyone else but it's the most important thing to me. The piece of Antarctica twice the size of NYC that's breaking off soon. Also the 1,000 foot deep hole in Antarctica the size of Manhattan. Global warming naysayers prove this wrong. When did New York become a standard unit of measurement? When scientists give a number and nobody can comprehend it so they just continue to go about their day. This gives the layman a representation of said chunk that they should be able to better visualize. I wouldn't know where to start but do some research on Zimbabwe if you are interested. Friend of mine moved to South Africa from Zim. Had over 100 farm animals. She shot and killed all of them because guerrilla fighters are going around Zimbabwe brutally killing and torturing animals and people and they were a day away from her farm. She wanted to give her animals a peaceful death. Recession time. Mayo, I got really excited BC. I read it as recess time. The sequel to the old Disney show Recess. Recession with the whole gang now in their 20s. Dealing with such fun antics of trying to get an entry-level job but declined because they want someone with 10 years experience in HTML5. Minimum wage though. Disney, if you use this idea, can I have a cut of the gross profits please? Titanic 2 setting sail. Clive Palmer is one of the worst politicians to ever happen to Australia. This is the man who demanded Townsville's mayor to step down after doing nothing during the flooding we experienced. She did more than the public knows. This is also the same man who has not so much as looked at his pocket in terms of donating to flood victims. He's a trash human. Personally, I think I'm going to start seeing a therapist for a bit. The mental health checkup I never had. Update. Thanks for the replies and overall encouragement. I gotta stop pushing it off. If I can schedule appointments for my teeth, surely I can do it for my brain as well. An overdue recession and a correction in the housing market. Something about an iceberg twice size of New York. That was quite literally the post before this one on my feed. If you take the time and look at everything from a meta perspective, all this stuff like automation, the student loan bubble, and the boomer mass retirement are all going to happen within the next 30-40 years. All these issues will be happening while the biggest issue of them all, the environment, will be going to crap. So I think something big is going to happen because of all of it. Whether that's a cultural revolution that leads to an actual change in how we think as a species for the betterment of mankind, or if it's just a bunch of nukes. Who knows? Especially once you take politics, religion, and international relations and all of their inherent unpredictability into account. Folding phones. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.